Focus. Here's a surprising stat. About 72% of billion-dollar startup founders don't have an MBA. Some didn't even finish college. So why do we still believe a business degree guarantees startup success? Maybe because classrooms feel safe, while the real world feels scary. But safe doesn't build billion-dollar companies. This is FruityWisdom, where we bust myths and sharpen mindsets. Subscribe, and let's dive in. So let me ask you this. Does a classroom really prepare you for chaos? Does a case study really prepare you for customers? The myth says yes. The truth says no. Here's the contrast. An MBA gives you frameworks, lectures, and theories. But entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship gives you failure, feedback, and fire drills. One teaches you to analyze risk. The other forces you to survive it. Think of it this way. An MBA is like a flight simulator. Safe, controlled, predictable. But building a startup? That's flying through a storm with engines sputtering. You don't need perfect theory. You need practical instincts. You don't need polished slides. You need scrappy solutions. That's why the best founders don't just study business. They do business. They don't memorize the map. They machete their way through the jungle. Let's talk about Steve Jobs. No MBA. Not even a college degree. He started Apple in a garage with borrowed parts and big ideas, not a business plan from a textbook. Or Sara Blakely. She didn't have a fancy degree. She was selling fax machines door to door. Then she had a simple idea: cut the feet off her pantyhose. That idea turned into Spanx, a billion-dollar brand. What did they have? Not credentials, not classrooms. They had curiosity, grit, and a bias for action. That's what built their companies. Not a diploma. And the pattern keeps repeating. Mark Zuckerberg? Dropped out. Bill Gates? Dropped out. Oprah Winfrey? No MBA. Richard Branson? Never even went to college. Yet they built empires that changed the world. Now flip it around. Every year, thousands of MBA grads walk out with shiny degrees and crushing debt, but no company, no traction, no customers. Because the classroom gave them knowledge, but not experience. Here's the metaphor. An MBA is like a map. It shows you roads, highways, and landmarks. But entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is the jungle. No clear path, no signs, no guarantees. You don't need a map. You need a machete. You cut your way forward by doing, not by reading how someone else did it. And here's the danger. Believing the MBA equals success myth delays the dream. Too many would-be founders hide in classrooms instead of facing customers. They pile up debt instead of piling up experiments. And when reality hits, when their startup stumbles, no professor can save them. That's not just costly. That's crushing. So here's what to do. First, if you want to learn business, start a small one. A side hustle teaches more in 6 months than a degree in 2 years. Next, build your own network by creating value. Share your work, help people, show progress. Those connections stick. Finally, focus on skills, not credentials. Skills pay the bills. Diplomas don't. For deeper learning, read The $100 Startup by Chris Guillebeau, proof you can launch without big money or big degrees. Then, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. It's all about testing, not theorizing. And finally, Rework by Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansen, a blunt, refreshing guide to doing business your own way. So here's the challenge. Instead of signing up for another class, launch a tiny experiment this week. Sell one product. Test one idea. Learn one lesson in the real world. Then share it in the comments. Because here at FruityWisdom, we don't believe in letters after your name. We believe in lessons from the game. And that's how you turn knowledge into victory.